It's okay. So you're always on the right.
Always on that.
Good.
Yes.
No pressure.
No problem.
Perfect timing.
How are you? So, I know that, I think always, the best part of these are when I can certainly answer any questions. But, I'll try to start off by maybe just telling you a little bit about myself and why I'm running for mayor, and, I'd be happy to answer any questions on any topic. Sound good? Okay, great. How are you?
Hi.
Well, I think you know my name is Robert. Just a little bit about myself and kind of where I'm coming from. So I was actually born in Lima, Peru. I came to the U.S. when I was 5 years old, and I grew up in a very typical immigrant experience. Family and I came to the U.S. to get away from the tough situation back home in Peru. Came to the U.S. All 8 of us lived in one little apartment in the San Gabriel Valley. Didn't know a lot, but we worked hard. Parents worked hard, worked 2 jobs, and they worked hard so that I had a chance to go to college and hopefully make something better for my family. And so I was fortunate enough to be the first in my family to go to school, and what actually brought me to Long Beach was going to Cal State Long Beach. That's what actually brought me to the city, was being exposed to college education. And so that brought me here, and almost 15, 17 years later, since my time at Cal State Long Beach, I've had an incredibly rich experience, and I feel very fortunate to be able to serve in Long Beach. Professionally, being in the city council is great, but it's not really what I really consider my life work to be, or what I've done most of my life, and that's been an educator. I graduated out of Cal State Long Beach with my master's degree in USC. Started teaching at Cal State Long Beach and Long Beach City College. Went on to get my doctorate. Now teach at the University of Southern California, and I've been teaching in the classroom at the university level for 5 years. And that is actually, what do you do? I'm a teacher. I'm an instructor. That's what I do. That's who I am. That is what I love to do, and that's what I will do when politics is done. It's what I did before, and that's what makes me the most passionate. But why am I running specifically for mayor of Long Beach? I'm running specifically for mayor of Long Beach because I love Long Beach. I love what I believe to be a city that is going in a progressive direction. I love a city that I think is looking towards tomorrow versus looking towards the past. And I believe that Long Beach is poised to truly be a leader across the country and across the world when it comes to issues of the new economy, of living wages and good jobs, of progressive values, supporting everyone no matter the color of their skin, who they love, or their age, or their personal income level. I think Long Beach can do all of that and more. And there are things that are important to me as they are to you, not just as Democrats, but also as people who live in Long Beach. One of the first things that's important to me is that for too long, Long Beach has sat back and just allowed LA and other players to kind of direct and to lead in the region and in the state of California. And the reality is that Long Beach is a leader in itself, and we have everything that we need to be a big power player. We have the largest economic engine in America, the Port of Long Beach. We produce more artists than anywhere west of Mississippi at Cal State Long Beach. I don't know if you believe that or not. We produce more artists than anywhere else west of Mississippi at Cal State Long Beach. We have our own municipal airport. We have some of the most diverse neighborhoods and communities in the entire country. We have people that love their neighbors. We're progressive on issues like gay rights and women's issues. So Long Beach is ready to lead and is poised to lead, but it needs someone that can communicate a strong message and be an ambassador to the entire city, across the country, and across the world. So at the end of the day, the new economy that's in front of us, in order for us to meet that challenge, we've got to be in Silicon Valley, we've got to be in New York, we've got to be in other places telling people to bring their jobs to Long Beach, to bring their companies, and obviously along the way to make sure they do good jobs for people that are paying good wages for them. In addition to that, as an educator, Long Beach is an incredible place when you look at our education system. We have an award-winning longitude-unified school district, we have a good community college, and a strong university. But we don't do enough to bring these together. I believe that some of our best talent in the entire city is sitting there over at Cal State Long Beach in the classroom. And we don't tap that potential of our faculty, our researchers, our librarians, the people that understand the scholarly work that really can make the world happen. They're not being tapped. Our faculty over there are sitting there providing great instruction, but how much are they being asked to help innovate in the city? How much are they being asked to sit down with other youth, with leaders, with other business people, to sit down and actually create civic ideas and civic innovation? And that's what's missing in our city. And so, as someone that is a college instructor and has been a college administrator, I'm going to bring together the university, the community college, and our school district to form really historic partnerships in education. And I believe that education is the key to really building the great city that we can be. Third is I think that as progressives, but more importantly as people, we have an incredible challenges. As most of you know, Long Beach is almost 25% of our community and our neighbors are living in poverty and are living in extremely tough situations. And I know this because it's what I grew up. I did not know English. It's a second language. I was a Spanish speaker. I grew up in an apartment with 8 people. I know what it's like to have families who have wonderful jobs and not have the same opportunity as any other people because of where you live. And I tell people when I speak, as we're enjoying this nice night and this really great home for us that we've got large communities in our own city that are living in total despair. They don't feel safe to walk outside in their community. They don't have enough food on the table at night. They don't have access to education. They don't feel safe. And they feel the only community they know is just right down the street from where they live. I can't tell you how many youth in our city have never even been to the beach. They may live 8 or 9 blocks away. And it's because they don't feel that that's theirs. They don't feel like it's part of their community. So I'm running for mayor because I believe, number one, that we can address this issue of poverty and this issue of really hopelessness and despair by ensuring that we have access to education, that we have good paying, that we have good paying jobs for everyone, that we're giving people access to help. These are the things that we can do and the challenges that are there in front of us. And second, I know that we can address this problem because I feel like we in my family have lived that issue. I'll tell you something, when I go to a classroom at the college and I see the students and they look at me and they sometimes see someone that looks like them. Someone that, whether it's either the same color, or maybe I spoke the same language, or I maybe closer in their age group. And I tell you that those things matter sometimes to students. And I believe that not just because I love Long Beach, but because I can speak with Spanish people, or whether it's appeal to their desires and their dreams. Because I have the same desires and dreams, I think it would be very powerful in a mayor. I'm convinced that the next mayor of Long Beach has to be about the future. It can't be about going backwards. It can't be about the past. It's got to be about consensus building. It's got to be about passion. It's got to be about someone that can communicate the Long Beach message and that can communicate our progressive values and service. So I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of what we're going to do. And I'm really proud of our record. And I'll close with this. When I got into office 5 years ago, the city was facing a $40 million budget deficit. $40 million. We were and had unsustainable pensions with our public employees. Who, by the way, no fault of their own, those are pensions that were barely given to them by former city councils. And we were in the worst financial situation that we had been in since the Great Depression. That is what I came into office. 5 years later, we have a budget surplus. We've reformed all of our public pensions with our public employees, not against them. And we're in the best financial position we've been in probably decades. We now have a full reserve. We're funding future unfunded liabilities. And this is a record that we're really proud of. It's tough. We made tough decisions. We cut things we didn't want to cut. But we try to do the right thing to really form a future that will sustain everyone. So with that, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few things, and I would love to take yes.
I live over on a little bit more on the east side, and I'm also very much into the environment. And I was following the second PCH issue from several years ago, and I was just curious. I mean, for the moment it's resolved, I understand that, but I'm aware of how you voted, and I just wondered if you could explain that again about why you voted the way you did that piece of property.
Absolutely. So, I mean, like you, first of all, I consider myself a strong environmentalist. And I've been on every issue before the council that's had to do with the environment. I've been on the side of the environment. It's been authoring the plastic bag ban, all the things we've done with urban ag, solar panels, beach issues, removal of the breakwater, all those issues. So on that specific issue, I lived probably for 10 years in Belmont, so I know the area really well, and I know that corner really well. I personally believe that there's a property owner that was there that had a project, which I personally thought was a good project. I believe that was a good project. It was good retail, stores that people wanted to see, I believe, like Apple Store or other kinds of amenities. Now, the issue that I think a lot of people had issue with, and I did as well, was the height. Was there a problem with the height of the building? Absolutely. I said that publicly. I said that to the developer. I said that during the meeting. However, I also believe that we either had two options. A, kill the project completely and do nothing, which is what we currently have, and allow the developer to possibly put in whatever he wants, if it's underseated, like a Walmart. He can today put a Walmart on that site. Because that would conform to seating. So we could either A, take the risk of putting a huge big box store on that incredible corner, or doing a good development that I believed would be downside by the Coastal Commission. Some of you guys might know that I'm on the California Coastal Commission. I did that. But first person from Long Beach in 35 years, I know the commission really well and the way it works. The Coastal Commission would not have allowed that tower to stand that height. Period. We wouldn't do it today, we wouldn't have done it then. So I believe today, like I believe now, that had we adopted a project, like any project that goes through the Coastal Commission process, that project would have gone to the Coastal Commission. The Coastal Commission would have said, it's too tall, downsize the project, come back and downsize the project, or one that we could still live with. One that would still have provided jobs, one that would have still built a theater for free to Cal State Long Beach for them to have theater and student programs, one that would have created a regional bike center for cycling, one that would have created new access ways to the marina, all of those things I wanted. A hotel on site as well. And so I voted for the project because I believe that's better than the alternative, and because I believe the commission would have voted that.
Okay, so I want others to have a chance, but I just want to say that the issue really is, I attended a number of workshops and meetings on the traffic over there. And having been stuck in traffic on PCH when there was road work being done, listening to people say that if you go as far down as Lorna on PCH and as far up as Calvary and whatever on that way, and I've forgotten exactly how far that way, and that traffic would be impacted by a high density development there. Even though I have to say, living in the area, it's kind of cool to have some of those things you're talking about. And I know William Sonoma was thought of one thing. But I just in all conscience don't know how someone could vote for that. So that's fine. But I appreciate your answer, and I think you answered it like I was mentioning.
I appreciate, but let me just one last point. I understand what you're saying, but I think that's something that oftentimes I think, particularly on the environmental side, so if that was city property, and the city owned that parcel, we probably wouldn't do much of that. We'd probably try to restore it, put some nature trails in there, try to do something that would kind of create an environment that would make the marina to the west. The reality, though, is we have a private development that is owned by someone that wants to make money out of it. That's just the reality. We're going to have traffic, increasing traffic there, regardless if it's built. If there ends up being a Kohl's there, or a there, Walmart, or something that goes on the site, there's going to be a huge increase in traffic. Now, would that high density building have created more traffic? Absolutely. Which is why I believe Coastal would have downsized that project anyways. But we're going to get an increase in traffic there regardless of what is built. But there is going to be a traffic increase. And there's no way that nothing is going to get built there. It's a matter of what. And so that was my vote then. I think that I'm hopeful that whatever gets built there is not a big box, but it'll be a community or something.
I have a similar concern with traffic and parking. I live in downtown Long Beach, and so my concern is with the Shoreline Gateway project and the fact that the city council voted against increasing the parking space requirement for those developers and the impact it's going to have on my corner, the traffic. There's no parking now. It's a horrible situation. If I entertain, there's no telling because there's very little visitor parking in the building where my guests have to park. So what does the city do? The council turn that down? Are there any other options for parking in downtown?
So her question, in case I don't know if everybody heard a question for that? Well, I can answer that a couple ways. The first is that, like say the PCH and like the Shoreline project, it's hard to do. Neither of those are in my district, right? So we vote. My people vote on everything. We try to be involved in every issue. The details of how a deal is worked out on a certain development, we don't really ever see until it comes to the council because those are being dealt with between the council member and the developer of the project. So I never get involved in the development process or development with North Long Beach because I would want to because that's between that council member and that project. And so when a project like that reaches the council, it's basically at the council member that's representing that project. The parking requirement was what it was because it was part of larger discussions about the downtown and which passed obviously a couple years ago. So that was the requirement on the development. As far as there is a school of thought on developments and parking that people, and this is fact, people now that are moving into these developments drive less and have less need for cars. I'm not saying everybody, but I'll tell you that is something that people that move into downtowns and into areas are taking more transit, riding their bikes more, and are driving less cars. It's not true for everyone, but it is true for some. And so those were the requirements that were built. As far as how we create more parking, one of the things that I think we need to more about the city, and we did in parts of the downtown district area, is we created over 500 parking spaces without actually building new parking lots. And I think we have to do a better job of going to businesses, empty lots, people that own lots, and providing parking permits. Some of that is around the area, where people can actually pay a small fee and park there overnight and rent essentially a parking space. So we've done that very, very successfully in the first district, where without building parking lots, we have 500 spaces that people use. Is there enough parking? No, there's always a need for more, but we've been able to do that. And so I think that we need to do more of that. There's a lot of empty lots in that area that should be used for overnight parking. And even if you create the 3 or 4 blocks out, so when other people start parking there overnight, it does lessen the problem closer to the center.
Question, Francis?
Yes.
Okay.
Loud.
I said a question on transit. Okay, working in LA, I took the blue line. I wanted to go from my house here, city bus, the 90 series buses, to get the blue line and go up. Totally impossible. The 90 series buses are not coordinated and integrated with the blue line. The blue line from Willow South, Transit Center, is a street car, not named Desire. This is a very slow, transit is slow enough as it is. It's pretty slow. It's there any idea that you have that the mayor wanted to guidelines? You want to have people on the shore get on transit, you gotta have transit, slow boat transit. I don't mean Jordan. Okay, so we have a.
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, we don't have, I'll be very honest with you, Canada, about transit. For the last decade, transit, we had staff at transit and situation at transit that was not within the city. The city does not, transit is not a department of the city of Long Beach. Long Beach Transit is its own corporation. The mayor appoints people to the transit board. He can remove them, and they have their own system that runs separately. It's not a general fund budget part of the city of Long Beach. So we can't just say, hey, transit, change this. That is all done by the board of directors of transit. It's difficult. I think they have a director that is hoping to change. The second thing is on the good news is we've been working a lot on NTA issues, and we're right now, the city has received a $1 million grant that is actually going to speed up the entire blue line, so actually all the way to downtown. The portion between downtown transit station and the Artesia station on the north is the slowest piece of rail in the entire county. Okay? Slowest piece of rail in the entire county. So that is actually going to change. So we're going to actually speed up the distance between downtown Long Beach and downtown LA by 15 minutes. And once this current project, it's going to synchronize all the lights in Long Beach, it's done. It's about 6 to 9 months away, but that's all getting done. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I have a big respect in your marijuana, and the thing I like about Long Beach University is the fact that you do have more people currently living by it. It seems to me like Mayor Foster wanted to build up all of the downtown and make it transfer through, like, but I came from what I left, which I don't like. I like that it's in the first place. And it seems like you want to feel that Mayor Foster wants to build a lot of people from the downtown area who want more. And where are they going to go? And also, there's been a lot of, I love to work in organizations that gives food for homeless for the dogs and things like that. And they would pass it to the home. They stick to a baby, have free blankets for them. What do they have? What are you going to do for really good housing?
So, absolutely. On the first question of kind of affordability and affordable housing, to be very clear, we've built more affordable housing in my council district in the last 5 years than any other part of the city. So when affordable housing projects come forward, I'm very supportive. But I think they've got to be quality development, so you shouldn't just because it's affordable, it should be quality development. And so, as far as affordable housing is concerned, we absolutely need to continue to build affordable housing in the city. I don't know if there's an interest by Mayor Foster or anyone to get rid of poor people downtown. I mean, part of the reason why I live in bottom downtown is because, I live north of 7th Street downtown, which a lot of people would say, oh, why would you buy north of 7th Street downtown? I thought there because that's what I love. I love that. And I don't want to live in Irvine. I want to live in a neighborhood that's mixed. I can walk down the street. It's just as likely that I can walk down the street and run into one of my neighbors walking their dog as I could. Be walking down the street to a young kid has nothing better to do than to cause trouble. You got to give that kid more to do.
Right. And
so that's the neighborhood I like living in this kind of neighborhood. And so I think what's happening in parts of downtown, this is just a fact, is what happens, unfortunately, is it's difficult to stop. It's this gentrification that just naturally happens in certain places. It happened in Silver Lake, it happened in Echo Park, it's happening in parts of downtown Long Beach, and more people start moving in, and prices and things start changing, home values go up. I read somewhere that the household income in downtown Long Beach, I think, went up by something like $40,000 in the last 10 years. And so I think we have to continue building affordable housing. I think we've got to continue to make sure that we don't become an Irvine. And then we have communities where everyone can live together. So it's a hard issue, but there's certainly no interest in getting rid of it.
The downtown project that I think you, located, isn't that take away? With some of the,
You mean the downtown plan?
yeah, the
So-
downtown.
Yeah, I think we gave that maybe a year and a half ago or so.
Right, right.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the downtown plan is a zoning document that specifically speaks to the way things should be zoned, the way things should be built, signage, parking, streets, bike lanes, walkability, access points for alleys. That's really what the downtown plan. It has nothing to do with housing prices or their. Oh, Stella.
Robert, so you talked about affordable housing the other night, the budget was being discussed, and so there was a recommendation to give affordable housing Long Beach company $123,000. Why weren't any of those boomerang funds? Why didn't any of those funds go back into housing, quality, affordable housing? And why aren't we looking at empty buildings that exist throughout the city? And utilizing those for affordable housing, maybe doing some energy efficiency projects, creating some jobs here at the same time.
So, good questions. Go back to your first question, why would we rent buildings? Unfortunately, when redevelopment got basically eliminated by the state, all those empty buildings and properties the city owns across the city are frozen. We can't, with the exception of the few projects that we're considering in the pipeline, we can't go do anything right now on those empty lots until we have more clarity from the state on what we can do with those lots. So on a lot of the properties or lots that the city has, and most all of those are RDA lots, we actually can't physically do anything until we know what we're going to be able to do to the state. A lot of those are going to be sold at a fire sale, unfortunately. We're going to have to sell, and the money can go to the state. Others of them are in limbo, so we're very little we can do on those properties. And the few projects like City Hall East, for example, that were already almost complete, really we're able to finish up. And we have very little access actually to any of those buildings. On the private side, it's different. Now that we don't have the development, I think we should remember the vast majority of all the affordable housing that we built was because of RDA. We don't have the redevelopment dollars. And we built tons of affordable housing. We have plans to build a lot more affordable housing. Now we can't build any of that because RDA was eliminated. So I think when we talk about why we're not building affordable housing today, we should be looking at micro amounts of dollars. We should be looking at the tens and tens of millions of dollars that were stopped by the state to build future affordable housing. So the first part of your question was why did we put money set aside? The amount of money that we're talking about would barely have built 2 units, 3 units. And what we have to have, unfortunately, now that RDA is gone, we've got to have a much bigger strategy on how to deal with the affordable housing issue. We have to have this debate, and I talked to Carrie about this the other day, and maybe we have a different opinion. Do we spend our dollars building new units? The new unit now, the cost, now that we have RDA, is enormous. Or do we use the same amount of money, and instead of building a new unit, rehab some of our worst units in the city and get those to conditions where they're actually livable for the low-income families that are living. And that's a debate that we have to have. But remember that we can do a lot more good doing a lot of public rehab than we can building new units now that we don't have RDA. We just don't have the dollars. We have to do all of that one-time rate that we have. The 40 million one time. We have a lot of needs in the city. So we weigh a lot of things. We need a police academy. We need a fire academy. We have alleys that are crumbling. We got to fix those alleys.
I hear.
We have
Yeah, you want my book?
they're out there right now. We have people in the city, in a lot of low-income communities, who literally they can't take their family members that are in a wheelchair even outside their home. They can't get down the sidewalk. So we have a lot of need in the city, and the housing issue is one that we're going to have to debate about over the next few months at city council. But there's a lot of need. It's not for a lack of not wanting to do work.
It's got me to get some energy grants.
I would say
little disheartening for people who were working towards a living wage campaign. It was a little disheartening for those who are working towards a living wage campaign to see the city attorney, or the person who's now hired as the city attorney, not aggressively pursue enforcement policies that would be able to ensure that some of the adults that were little resident in compliance would actually abide by the new law. Do you have any opinions now that the city attorney is retiring and there's going to be new races? Do you have any goals as mayor for legislation that perhaps provide more heat to the living wage campaign, to the living wage ordinance, or perhaps even expand it?
Well, first, I do support expanding. So I think that there's discussion right now, early discussion about expanding some type of living wage ordinance to workers' convention center as well as the workers' heritage. So, and I think that will eventually come to the council. So when that comes to the council, I'll absolutely support that. As far as the issue of enforcement, you know, we have a very love-hate relationship with the city attorney, and with the office. And unfortunately, I believe what we have right now is a big improvement from what we had before. And I think that you're going to see more. And I'll give you an example. Like even on the issue of medical marijuana, we would have been handled totally differently had Charlie Parker been the city attorney versus Shannon's. So I think on a lot of issues, like medical marijuana, like the living wage issue, you're going to start seeing a change, and which I think will be able to see. Yes.
Back to the whole
Sure.
My question relates again to the wetlands, and I just wonder what your position is on pursuing and continuing to pursue the acquisition of the rest of the wetlands and the restoration.
Well, 100%. I mean, I have continuously supported as much acquisition as possible. I think that at the end of the day, the more that we can acquire out of the wetlands and restore it, the better. And I've had a chance to walk our entire site here in Long Beach. I've been to tons of wetland sites up and down the state on the Coast Commission. And I think a lot of us have kind of the dream of that just being incredibly thriving into place. If you haven't had a chance to walk the wetlands, it's really beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of great wildlife, and plants, and vegetation that's there. Absolutely. And tons of it. And so I absolutely support it. I think the full restoration of the wetlands needs to happen. No question. It's also a matter of resources. We're closer today to acquiring a lot of that land than we've ever been. We have acquired it.
Have you ever heard of any plans for what the city's portion that they own behind the
Well, I think that there is an interest in every piece that's in the public sphere, that the public has owns, we're going to restore. We're still not going to develop it. There's no interest in developing anything with the public owns. I don't think there's much interest in developing. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question about the library.
Wait, a little louder.
The library?
Sure.
stand up.
I heard it.
Yeah, hi. I've worked with the library for projects that I'm doing, and I've done some hours with them in the past. And the libraries are incredible. I mean, some of them actually have, some branches have more than 1,000 neighborhoods. They provide the only after-school resource for kids. They provide tutoring opportunities because the schools are not able to provide kids. So we actually measurably impact performance in schools. Adults are using computers to look for jobs. People who are off digital in math and don't even have smartphones rely on the library to do job searches or unemployed and local housing. And some libraries have policy that people only use computers if they are seriously looking for services. But I've heard from different librarians in very different branches on the east side and also on the north side that somehow they don't know why the funding has been cut back for them. And that there's moved to put this under parts of recreation, and they don't consider themselves as a recreational resource. Instead, they're much more around culture and education and providing important technology and getting people to the digital age. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are about this, what you've done to support local libraries that are really critical. I'm just, we're talking about giving,
Absolutely.
and leisure time. I know there are community projects, other community projects that are very important that are centered on the arts, or structural market and so on. But really, question.
Absolutely. Libraries, great topic. I don't know who doesn't love libraries. I grew up going to libraries. A few things. When we talk about library hours or library fees with cut, I think it's important to note that every department of government has cut into its reduction, whether it's police, fire, libraries, street sidewalk service, anything. So has there been cuts in library hours? Yes. Has there been cuts in the amount of police we could hire? Yes. So what happened was 4 or 5 years ago, we could have $50 million budget deficit. You can't get out. You just can't get out of that if you don't have support. And the only way to get out of something, there are 2 ways to get out of it. One is to try to do a tax or a bond. Which, by the way, was in front of the city council, and a majority of the city council voted to support. And I said what petitions I would, but not everybody did. We should also go and look who voted against that measure, because if we had passed that measure, Measure I, the infrastructure bond, years ago, we would have saved tens and tens of millions of dollars that we now have to invest in infrastructure and streets, and we would have reinvested back in the libraries and parks. On the other part of the question, I do not support the library system going to the parks. I think it's a terrible idea. Quite frankly, first I heard about it, I will not support that. And as far as library resources, so has everyone was cut? Yes. But we also have done more this year to get restorations back than we ever have in a long time. I'll give you an example. I led the effort to get Wi-Fi installed in all 12 of our libraries. And now they're installed. All 12 libraries have Wi-Fi. I led the effort to also get Wi-Fi installed in all of our parks. 25 of our parks now have Wi-Fi. A lot more of them will have Wi-Fi in the near future. And because of that same access educational center concept. Beyond that, this year we gave the libraries an additional $400,000 for materials and new books, and I think some of the major infrastructure issues, like little carpet tears, things like that, in the libraries. So this year we give the libraries a huge chunk of one-time money to get a lot of those fixes done, and we didn't see any cut to the library system this year. And the reason why there was no cut to the library system this year was because we were fiscally prudent over the last few years, and now we're at a deficit.
Any comment in your speech?
Louder.
The council member gave a comment about the future of Long Beach. I just want to see what your vision is relative to the future of Long Beach.
So the future, the question was, what do I see as the future of Long Beach? So the future of Long Beach that I see is, one is a city who has embraced what I believe is the next economy. And as we know, just as students of history, cities and communities that embrace the economy that is on its way, the economy that's coming, succeed. And so, number one, I think as a city, we have to embrace the next economy. And that is going to be, one, a tech economy, based on technology, on access to information, on communication. We've got to embrace and lean on that economy. The second is going to be a green economy, an economy that runs that's lighter, that's greener, that's solar, that is not using our Earth's resources. That's also an economy that we've got to be ready to embrace. We've got to be ready for the economy that's going to change the way logistics and port transportation works, which means we've got to have a cleaner port, less reliance on so many pollutants that are polluting our communities. These economies, the economy is changing in healthcare. The Obamacare, thank God, is completely transforming the way we provide healthcare. We have in Long Beach multiple hospitals. We have we're lucky that we actually have per capita a good hospital system in the city. Well, that economy is changing. So if we're not on the forefront of these new economies, particularly when it comes to tech and green, we're not going to be ready for the future. And so I see us as a community that embraces a new economy. I see us as a community that leads on social progressive issues. So when we're talking about issues of the gay and lesbian community, we have been and are on the forefront of these issues. We've done things before anybody else. Things like, I was proud to author the Equal Benefits Ordinance in the city of Long Beach, which was one of the first equal benefits ordinances in the entire country. What that did was it required contractors and vendors that we did these multi-million-dollar contracts with in the city every year. It required all those vendors that we do business with to provide equal benefits to domestic partners, even if they're not married. Well, that forces all these companies, they want to do business with Long Beach, they got to have a balance. And so on issues like progressive social issues, supporting students, youth, I think we can lead on that. And then the last part that I say what I see in the future of Long Beach, my style, at the end of the day, I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. And I work with everyone. And what does not, what I believe this in my heart, what does not work in Long Beach and in our politics are people that just want to be angry and not allow a process to develop.
So get rid of all the Republicans.
We have plenty in our but it's not, being passionate is important. But passion alone does not fuel democracy. And the only way that we are going to get things done and go in a progressive direction for the city is we're going to have to work with everyone. We're going to have to go, and I believe we can do this, we're going to have to go to some of the wealthiest communities in the city. Beautiful communities. I was in Naples Island earlier today. Whether it's Naples or Virginia Country, we're going to have to go into the community and say, we know that you want to help people just as much as we do. We know that you care about helping the poor, helping kids as much as we do. Let's work together and do this together. And if we have to stop, we have to stop working against each other. And if we're going to really do this before, we've got to work together.
All right.
Very concrete example from the city. This house, under your old house, has a white roof. It has a
Get
solar.
on here.
This house, which is over 100 years old, has a solar system and a white roof. Solar system. Not diesel. And it didn't cost me any money. The roof was the same cost to have it reflective, white, versus have it non-reflective. Why can we not have an ordinance in Long Beach that any new construction, residential, commercial, business, industrial, or government, must have green technology built in?
Well, I think, first of all, I think that we can. I think we have passed numerous ordinances and laws to kind of move us in that direction. As far as something as blanket as that, if that was before us, I would like to support that.
I'll send it to you tomorrow.
I think that it's very difficult. It's very difficult in tough economic times, which is what we've been in over the last 4 or 5 years, to do a lot of creative or innovative stuff. And I am beyond proud that we still been able to do some really great, creative both social stuff and economic stuff in the last few years. So now that things are better, I think we got to push those kinds of issues. Because just because the economy is great doesn't mean that people still don't need better wages, or we can do more things for the environment, or we can push more progressive social issues. So I think those are the kind of things that we have to look forward to. I think that we can be a leader on green issues, on progressive issues, on labor issues. And we can lead on all those things. But it's going to take a mayor that's going to work with people, communicate the message, I think, effectively, and that's ready and willing to meet with any group, regardless of their age, their income level, the color of their skin, sexual orientation.
Bravo.
Yes.
Yes. I thought of your
I think you make a good point. There's all,
Can you repeat the question or summarize it?
Sure.
We could-
the question was on the issue of using more of our kind of academic and scholarly minds and resources from the university to solve city problems and to look at city issues. And would there be resistance from other council members or people in the city in doing that? And I think the answer is partly. I'm sure some would have resistance towards that. I think sometimes people don't want to get information that might jump around or that will challenge them. I will say though that whether there's resistance or not, it's just the right thing to do. I met last week with the interim president right now at Cal State Long Beach, Don Park, who, long story short, when I was a student there, he was the chair of the music department. And I was a musician, or maybe, I still am a musician, but in addition to college, played in the band there at Long Beach State, and so I knew him very well. And now he went from the chair of the music department to head of College of the Arts to provost, now as president of the college. And the two of us, we're ready to create a historic partnership with the university and the city, and it's going to use our best and the brightest that we have, which are a lot of our faculty who are some of the best in the country in their field on getting some of this stuff done. I think we can solve a lot of our city problems if we got faculty, students, innovators, people from business, community members in a room to solve city problems. And we don't do enough of that in government. And sometimes it's hard for us in government to do those kinds of and really bring civic innovation and solve the kinds of challenges and problems that that we deserve to address. And I'll give you I'll give you one last little example of this. When I got to the council, I'm a tech. I love technology. I love using it. We had a problem in the city, or we continue to, that if you want to report a pothole, a graffiti, or an issue, you gotta remember what phone number you gotta call. Should I call code enforcement? Should I call graffiti? Look it up, make a phone call, and report it. One of the first things I proposed to the council was to create the Go Long Beach smartphone app for the smartphone. I got resistance from almost every single council member and every member of the staff saying, no way. That's going to be a mess. You're going to have you're going to report things off your iPhone. You'll create a whole backlog. It'll never get done. Well, I pushed on it. What do? We created a smartphone app, essentially, that allows you to download it on your iPhone or your Android phone. You see graffiti, take a picture of the graffiti on your phone, GPS on your phone. The GPS on your phone documents where you're at with the photo. It sends it directly to the city. The city that has an exact record of where you are. We usually take care of it within a day, 24 hours. Sometimes within hours. Now, we have closed over 25,000 cases on Go Long Beach on the smartphone app. And all it is you can use it, take a picture, this literally does it under 30 seconds. That, when we do that, eliminates all of the work, the paperwork, the going back and forth, and gives public works a direct photo and location without you having to send it of a problem just from your phone. More importantly, the other thing it does is it empowers the people that need to be empowered the most, young people, youth, to be involved in their city. I get more young people that come up to me and say, oh, I reported graffiti on the smartphone app. They never would have picked up the phone and never called graffiti. But when they can do it on their smartphone, it's quick. That is one small example of civic innovation. We can take that example and use it in every form of government. We're in the process right now of completely redoing our city website, longbeach.gov. You ever been on it? It's a nightmare. When I proposed doing longbeach.gov, I had almost every single council member against it. Why are we investing money in doing a new website? It's because people aren't thinking outside the box. It's not about doing the website. It's about creating a 24-hour online city hall. Right? If we begin to think in that direction about letting people do whatever they want from the computer, then you change government.
And when you've had 14 potholes in place, it's maybe cheaper to repair them.
So, well, thank you very much for
Any other questions?
I want a question on a serious note, and I don't want everybody to take this wrong way because it has to do with law enforcement law being very bad rap, which is deserving sometimes within the city of Long Beach. And actually, my family my brother-in-law, he's a captain in the Orange County Sheriff's Department. He arrested in Orange County.
Oh,
Next to me. I just worked in jail or lady. So, but on a serious note, I live down the street. I live in Belmont Shore, and no baloney. I'm standing there, it's actually on a date, and there's me my date in my residence, and I heard snap, snap, and I'm like, oh, got pretending to fall down. I didn't know what this sound was. Turns out, this young gentleman by the name of Doug Zerby was shot literally down my alley by the police. And the police never, Long Beach PD never said freeze, never said, this is what Long Beach Police Department, drop what you're holding, nothing like that. And I actually spoke to a city official at a party here, man, who said the city was just trying to get rid of this. And this was back right up 3-4 years ago. And actually, personally, I had a conversation with a Long Beach City policeman. He was very vulgar, and this was off duty. We saw a gay pride without the registered voters on the corner of Los Alamitos and Ocean. And this elderly woman walked off the curb, walked across the street, and this police officer comes out screaming at her, and the people started, yelling, "Give us a chance! Stop! Leave her alone! Leave her alone!" It was this woman trying to cross the street, and they ended up the other officers being grabbed, kind of whispered to him, "Go, get out of here." And then we have another point. This policeman's been reading in the video. I don't know if anybody's seen this, but seriously, some of these relatively with LBP. And maybe a couple who I did try Orange County Sheriff, went through everything, but never worked there.
Let me add to that. Shane and I were involved in the Occupied Long Beach Cyber Organization. We had a city that hard ass, everybody's a badass. Just look bad at it than this city. And that kind of trail against the homeless people, mostly were visiting homeless and people who were occupied mental health. It was very unsettling. And I think the problem is we have a city attorney, had a city attorney, who was someone who deals with residents all the time. And then we have other people who do support. Same way. But the chief is good, there's a mix. As mayor, you address it.
Well, I mean, this is a really tough situation. First of all, you've seen the video. I don't know if anyone's seen the video. It's actually pretty disturbing. And I talked to the chief about the video yesterday. I believe that everyone deserves.
Let me speak, please.
No, I mean everyone deserves, including our cops, an opportunity to tell their side and to have their day in court if it's that. But there's no question that if you look at that video, you cannot walk away without being disturbed and have a lot of questions as to why that type of use of force was involved. And I certainly have a lot of those questions. I think that our police department is not immune from having some bad apples in it. Every police department in the country has that same issue. We still have a long way to go when it comes to training, a long way to go on LGBT issues that are being sensitive to a lot of those issues, understanding those issues. But let me tell you why we have some of the biggest issues. This is just a fact. We have to do a better job of diversifying our department. And the reality is we need to have more women in the department. We need to have, how many Cambodian speakers actually can speak live and have the department? One. And a huge Cambodian population. In this academy that we just brought in, we have no Khmer speakers. How many percentage of Hispanics that were in this academy, the largest single group in the academy, Hispanics that we brought in, how many of those do you think can actually speak Spanish? One. And I bring this up because part of one of the requests that I made at last week's council meeting was to put in money for diversity recruitment both at the fire department, which was not there before. The reality is we don't diversify our ranks and get people from these communities involved whenever they're changing.
There's also some other change. I mean, I've heard calls for I've heard calls for a civilian review board from some of the community members, and at the same time too, there are policies that are available for being changed. I looked at, for example, the drug policy for right now for Long Beach recruits. A marijuana use, for example, for somebody applying to the Long Beach Police Department right now gets to a 2-year ban, which is more restrictive than the Marines, which is a 1-year ban, and it's more restrictive than the FBI, which is also a 1-year ban.
Well, what do you mean, a 2-year ban from?
Use of marijuana in the
5-year
state. Yeah. So, the drug policy itself is also wildly inconsistent. Injectable drugs are treated differently from inhalants or anything like that. One gets you a lifetime ban, the other one's only a 3-year ban. And it makes it, I actually wrote about this, it makes me a little bit concerned about the inconsistency in that sort of policy for somebody who's going to be entrusted with enforcing drug policy. So, if you're going to go for a wide spectrum of candidates, why have that sort of kind of confusing, just overly restrictive, I think. If, somebody's going to be using acid once in their life, could be completely banned from ever applying for a police department, you're going to be taking out a decently large portion of people.
And maybe some people don't want to.
I was saying, I'll tell you, I did comment that I went through Orange County Sheriff, I went through the training working in jail over there. And one thing that I found, and I'm not very familiar with all these traditions, but yet, we had to be there at 5 a.m., we had to take a test. It went K through 3rd. That was it. 3 room. I thought it was ridiculous. But there was about 3,000 people there, and it cut it by 2/3. And all you needed to know was kindergarten through 3rd grade, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And I could not understand that. Then the agility, and the background check, all that jazz, and they did give in. Because I never done a drug in my life, not even marijuana, nothing, anything. And they could not know I ever done a college with that. This is a neck for the goddess. But they could not accept the fact that a young man that was interviewing me was about 28 years old, very good. But I didn't know half the drugs on the entire list. I was like, you already done all those tests. And keep the first one was marijuana, and I put no. He said, you never done, but not bypass that, which, I saw. They didn't believe me. Well, they didn't believe it.
You lying? Why?
I think it's more the education.
It is, but also I think also a matter of understanding that. And to be honest with you, I first learned about how restrictive our drug policies were this last year. I actually had a friend, Jack. I had a friend that wanted to apply, but had smoked marijuana like a year ago, and he's a great guy, he's a great cop, and really couldn't apply for that reason. And so I think those are the kind of things that we also have to be aware of. People forget oftentimes, it's difficult for us. We're what's called a citizen's movement. A lot of people think that we wake up every morning and we get to work on reviewing policy and looking at everything we got to change. Long Beach, unlike a lot of cities our size, has a citizens council, which means we all actually have full-time jobs. I wake up in the morning and I go to the university. We don't, it's not like Los Angeles where we're sitting all day working on some issues. So I'd love to sit, every day reviewing policy and other things. I would love our staff to do that. That's just not the environment that we live in. It needs to change. That is to change. But that's something that we'll work on.
That's something that can be changed in our
Absolutely.
our charter.
I mean, first leadership. Yeah, because if they have a city of 500,000 people, not have full text.
Yeah, it's on a side note, when Sarah Palin, governor of Alaska, was here running, Long Beach had a greater budget than Alaska and had the same population. I just thought that was wild.
She can congratulate.
Well, I think she's not running for mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.